Hello, so welcome to this video for COMP3218 Game Design and at Southampton. My name's Dave Millard, I'm one of the lecturers on the course, and I'm here with...
Tom Blount, I am another lecturer on the course.
So Tom, do you want to say a little bit about what we asked the students to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So for this coursework, we asked our students to make a small game prototype that was focused around storytelling in games. So we asked them to make a game with a story engine, so a way the game affected the narrative and the narrative affected the gameplay.
Brilliant. So we've got a few games to have a little look at, and we'll sort of go through, give our initial reactions, and then kind of go through our marks criteria and just sort of talk through the various aspects of the game. Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
Tale of the Foresters.
Yeah, lovely title screen, lovely music. You can't hear it, Dave, but it's very nice. Options. Oh, we've got an internal volume slider.
Okay.
Oh wow, it starts off at the minimum, and it's quite loud.
They've obviously seen our previous Let's Plays where we've had to turn the games down.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
This is nice. I like the little animations. How do you think I move?
Yeah, I think they've kind of...
oh, no, it's WASD. It's fine.
Forgotten some of the basics from last time, but still.
There we go.
Well, maybe not. We're doing disservice. Press left shift to talk to characters. Father, about time. Call yourself a soldier. God's mercy if I'm letting you miss your last training session. Oh, yes, sir. Calm down, father. Still 5 minutes. Yeah, what we're gonna go for?
Calm down. It's early. We've got time for a coffee.
It's times like these I wonder what father would say if he saw you now.
What? But he is. What?
Oh, so you made a good father. I'll surely miss you. Maybe I'll see him again if I'm killed out there. That's a bit nihilistic. All right, what are you gonna go for?
Let's be nice.
Quite a nice little dialogue system.
It is actually, yeah. I like you can scroll back and see what happened as well. That's nice. We've tried to war by now. Both.
Might have been nice to flag up which conversation elements were you.
I mean, so it says
to pick them out. Yeah, but I mean, like
just highlighting it slightly.
Highlighting something. Don't let war change you, son.
Anyway, I'm keeping.
Okay.
Okay.
Very nice. Okay, so nice little, so almost like a little tutorial of how the dialogue system works, basically, which is quite cute.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this is a game where you can kind of interact with things, and
if it is, I don't know what the interact key is.
If we had it would have been nice if we'd have maybe had a little interaction task in this room.
Yeah.
And again, as almost like a tutorial to the interaction system or something. But I like the dialogue. Good.
Let's see, can I like left shift on anything?
Okay,
here?
let's.
Nah, I don't think so. All right, let's head outside.
I think we just have to go for it.
Oop.
Oh, it's a bit.
Oh,
so just
it's a loading screen.
A loading screen. Okay.
I feel like that might have been an artificially long loading screen just to show off the fact that they've got a loading screen.
Well, it was actually a bit confusing. I thought, how come we've come out of our house onto a bridge?
Yeah.
But, all right, yeah, little village. The graphics are nice.
Okay, just in case you use, was that right click to attack? Yes. Slightly odd control
right
scheme,
click.
but okay.
When you approach somebody,
did that say? Right
just
click.
in case.
Shift and F.
Right, so when you approach someone, you get a little speech bubble over your head. Does that indicate that you're able to talk with them?
Ah, it does. Show them savages what comes to them who messes with us. What have you got against them? Blah blah blah.
Are you deaf or just an imbecile boy? They're messing with the ain't supposed to be. They deserve what's coming to them. I think there's no doubt what he wants to happen.
I was like, alright, sure, whatever.
Do as I say as it happens, even if your true loving poxy father don't. Oh dear.
Okay. So we are supposed to be going somewhere, although I'm not sure where.
Do you remember what we were told to do?
You need to. Oh, there we go. You need to finish your training first, cross the bridge, and find the trainer. He is located next to the dummies. So I guess the bridge is the other way.
Okay. So again, a nice little prompt, but it would have been nice if it had been a character telling us that.
I'm seeing if I can explore and chat to anyone else. Like the chef looks interesting, but
he does. Although
I don't think I can talk
he
to him.
doesn't seem to want to talk to you.
How about you? Have you got anything interesting to say? No,
So there's the bridge where we loaded earlier.
Alright,
let's go and find these dummies.
Aha! I see some dummies.
There they are.
Get over there, you quivering wretches. Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's see what you're made of. Looks like it's dummies versus dummies. Get going. Attack the dummy next to me 5 times and then report back. Which one would you say is next to him?
Yeah.
Bonk.
Attacking? Difficult to tell.
I know, that's interesting. Yeah, so we're getting a little sound effect when we hit it, and I think after I've hit it 5 times, I'm not getting that sound effect anymore. But
right, okay. You've got a little recharge meter for your sword as well.
Yeah. So marginally improved. Hooray! We've marginally improved. Gather your things. We leave for the front lines immediately.
Yeah. Congratulations, son. You can hold a sword on the right end. Off to war with you.
I'm going to just push him over here. There we go. Just organise all the soldiers. We'll just push them over there.
Okay, so I guess you can leave. Can you go out the... What's the door at the top? Can you get out that way?
I think we have to go back the way we came. Back across the bridge.
Reckon?
I just wanted to see if there's anyone we can chat to while we're here. Because there's... Like, they've sprinkled lots of characters around.
Yeah.
And, like, it'd be nice if maybe they had, like, a line of dialogue or two. But, you know, there's a lot of characters and it's a lot of stuff to write, so maybe they've just focused on the important bits.
It's the sort of thing you'd add as a polish, wouldn't it? You'd just put in a sort of a random village dialogue generator.
There we go, another loading screen. And, ooh, that's, that doesn't follow the 180 rule at all.
Yeah, okay.
Because we went left, and now we're going right.
Right. Right, kid, setting up camp here, go fetch you some firewood, make it quick.
So now would be an excellent time to say that we asked our students to base their story on one of 3 different fables.
Yeah, we did.
What fable do you think they've chosen?
Well, while you've been playing, I've been looking at their game notes to try and figure it out. And the honest answer is I'm not entirely sure.
Oh dear. Ooh, there's somebody talkable here. Aha, Forrester, look brothers, here arrives a soldier, but what will you do next? It's like, hi. Yeah. Savages, beasts, tree lovers, pick your descriptor. We choose to be known as the Foresters to those we regard amicably. Okay. Your father spoke of us on very how unfortunate. Okay. Oh, so are these the people that we've come to kill? So they've asked me to go and get some firewood, and I've stumbled into... Speak nothing of this meeting, especially to your compatriots. Know that we will meet again. Gather some firewood.
Gather some firewood. Okay, it might be. I mean, they look too nice to kill.
He's got a viciously sharp stick.
He does. He must be terrified of. We must be terrified of his stick when we've got this massive sword and metal armor.
Good. Lay them down over there. Should I tell him about the Forester or not?
I don't know. He seemed nice, didn't he?
Should we tell him? No, that's just not.
Yeah.
Oop, there goes a horse. Okay. Where did that horse go? Nope. It's ascended.
So we got any more instructions? What we should be doing?
I think we might be about to get some.
Having trouble.
A wild boar charged me while I was tending to the corral. Oh, was that his horse escaping? I'm okay, he frightened the poor beasts. That's a shame, goodbye. Okay, I could fetch them to you. I am quite accustomed with horses. One went that way, the other 2 west by the houses. I almost forgot about that, just leave them in the next one. Okay, I would assume that west is to the left.
Yes.
Which is where we've just come from. Hello, horse. Press E to mount it. Ooh, we get to ride a horse, this is great.
Love the horse.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, and you can really move as well.
Oh, there's another one. Dun, 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 dun. And there's one more somewhere. So is this? I mean, out of the ones that we suggested, I'd say maybe the Lion and the Mouse, because it's about doing good deeds and being unsure of
Yeah,
the...
it's hard to tell, isn't it? Because I mean the yeah the it could be. So we perhaps it is worth just saying that we kind of we gave them three. We gave them three fables that they could base it on: either the wolf and the crane, the lion and the mouse, or the owl and the grasshopper. And unfortunately, it doesn't say in the game notes which one this is. My guess would be, as you said, because you're doing things for people, maybe it's that.
Yeah, so we got asked to do some things. We didn't get promised a reward, but we got a reward for doing it. So we got a horse for finding the farmer's horses, and we now have this companion.
Yeah. Why do you attack our villages and prolong this war? Why not a compromise?
We're betrayed. It was a slaughter.
Okay. Why fight your presence in the wind? We heard your footsteps through the forest long before the sound. Okay. So there's some sort of mystery. Looks like you're the chosen one. Hang on a minute. So this is their camp?
Don't make a lot of noise. What happened? There are some soldiers just around the corner, so I see. Let's avoid them. Okay.
So presumably you could have just walked straight past them.
And yeah, until I did that dialogue, and then I can't tell if I'm hitting anything.
So they've obviously put him on the corner to encourage you to talk to him before you encounter the soldiers.
There doesn't seem to be any sound anymore.
Okay.
And
But
I'm definitely getting
damage.
hit. I can't tell if I'm hitting anything.
Okay. Getting hit?
I'm just gonna leave. Oh.
Yeah.
Damn, they've accounted for this.
Yeah, we kind of did.
Maybe I have to get off the horse to hit things. Oh, there we go. Now I've got sound effects again.
Ah, okay. So it's because we were on the horse.
So that's kind of odd. You give me a horse as a reward, and then it hinders my combat ability.
That lets you move around quickly.
And I get to see this guy stopped flashing. In fact, hang on. Why are these two guys hitting each other? Or are they just...
I think they hit the guy at the top.
So that's odd. This guy definitely seems to be not, I guess, combat effective, let's say. But he's still animating and just wandering around.
Yeah.
Oop. Oh no, I've lost my
Yeah,
horse.
that's quite peculiar.
Oh no, my horse.
I mean, they've been quite ambitious with this thing.
They have.
There's lots of elements. It almost, and I think maybe it's just overstretched them a bit. You did not help my son who's in need. What a disgrace. Crawl back to where you came from.
I assumed I missed a quest thing somewhere.
You did not betray our people in the forest. A rare act of kindness. We'd be glad to have you.
Okay, so the humans, I guess, don't like me because I missed a quest somewhere. Although I didn't spot it.
No.
So
Side with humans, side with foresters. Skip the fight.
Now, if I were a gambling man, which I suppose I am, I would say that if I choose to side with the humans, I can't because I've annoyed the commander. I could side with the foresters, and I can't try and stop the fight because I've not, because one of them doesn't like me. If they both liked me, I bet I could try and stop the fight. But you know, let's try and stop the fight anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Fat chance.
I'm gonna try and side with the humans just to see if he'll let me because he doesn't like me, and see if I'm just left with the one option.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at they've got a little story structure in their game notes. Ooh. And at this point you have a score. You finished part 1 of the game.
Okay, so
you have a human score and a forester score, and basically depending on what that score is, it looks like it varies what those options are available to you. But it's a bit strange that they still show you the options, or perhaps that they show the options but not that the option isn't
I
Is that,
I don't know. I don't mind. I kind of like having that
you
organically
like
in the
having the
dialogue
feedback
because
afterwards?
you can say it and then they can just say no. What are you talking about?
Hmm, that's true. Okay, well let's I think we've seen the main route. So I would suggest that
We should probably go through the work scheme.
this
Yes.
time let's go through it and report the Forester and see what
Okay.
happens.
I was going to try and get for
Uh,
the ultimate good ending.
and then while we're doing that, should we start having a look at the having a look through the criteria?
Yeah.
There's quite a lot in here. So all right. So the first thing is the presentation. So this is basically the graphics, the information design, and the audio. So what do you think of the audio?
So the title screen music's really nice. There's a little bit of music here. There seems to be sort of a bit of a lack of music in some of the other places.
Yeah.
But there are some sound effects as well. Like there's a sort of like a swoosh and a
Yeah.
smack as you do the sword.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
there's some good audio sort of throughout. Like it
I,
could be better. There could be a lot more, but it's what they've got is pretty good.
the graphics and the information design I think's pretty nice. I mean, the graphics are very consistent. They look good. They
I
sort of suit the style of the game. The health bar maybe is a little bit
a little big. I
big.
I would say that the information design is mostly good. The combat and sort of like deciding whether you've hit something or whether you've been hit is quite clear because your health goes down and you flash. It's sort of when something dies isn't super clear.
No. There's little touches. So it's a weird mixture, isn't it? There's little touches. Like I love the little dialogue bubble that pops up. That's a cute little touch.
Yeah.
But like you said, some of the core stuff, like giving you feedback versus combat, is definitely missing. Again, I think maybe it's simply that the scope of the game's very big, and it's been very difficult for them to get all of the details right across the whole thing. But okay, so the graphics I think are nice. So in general, I think they've done a pretty decent job. So if you were to look at the scheme, a good would be key information is shown clearly, graphics are consistent, and appropriate use of audio. And I think it's mostly there, except maybe for the key information. I would say the graphics might be up at the kind of consistent and appealing. No, I'd say it probably does feel like a good to me. What do you think?
Possibly even a little higher. I'm not sure it quite hits the excellent marker, but
No.
uh,
Let's go with that and put it between the two, because I mean it is a nicely put together.
like there are some sort of odd seams when you're leaving an area and things like that. But otherwise it's really nice.
So gameplay. So we're looking for a set of complementary mechanics, usable controls, and meaningful play.
So mechanics-wise, we've got obviously moving around the map, we've got talking to people, we've got the sort of dialogue tree choices, and we've got the combat.
You got the horse, I guess.
And the horse, yeah.
So yeah, there's a decent set of stuff you can do. Controls. What's it like to actually play?
It's like the movement's fine. The combat, I think, again, sort of ties back into the information design. Is a little bit like there's not exactly nuance to the combat system, right? It's just stand here and mash right click until one of us stops moving.
Yeah. I think kind of it feels like they've it feels like the game elements of it have suffered a little bit in order to develop the narrative.
Yeah.
But then that's probably not surprising, given that the emphasis that we asked them to place on the storytelling.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so a good would be a set of complementary mechanics, smooth usable controls, and meaningful play. So would you say you're getting meaningful play out of it? Do you feel like you're...
So that's it. In terms of the combat, not really, but in terms of the talking to people, deciding whether to do things, like, yeah, there's probably some meaning to that.
So I think that probably means it just about hits the good. So what's happening here then?
So I actually messed up and did the same narrative choices as I did last time, but because I sided with the Foresters, I actually get to see the final battle.
Ah, okay. We spotted any bugs? You mentioned about the music, but that seemed to be just a feedback problem rather than an actual bug.
Yeah.
So as far as I can tell, everything's working okay. All the mechanics are going. We've not had any errors.
Yep, seems to be alright.
So,
Yeah. And in terms of complexity, yeah, there's like a bunch of different stuff going on.
Yeah. So I think bugs probably start at the excellent, which is
although
game is playable.
possibly we're witnessing one now. They're just pushing them off the.
Yeah. Oh, there's an edge. So yeah, so excellent would be game is playable, reasonably complex with no obvious bugs, and that feels about right to me. Okay, so let's talk about the story engine. So the story engine is about this is the bit of the game that's controlling the story, and in particular, what we wanted something where choices you make in the story have an effect in the game world, and choices you make in the game world have an effect in the story.
So choices you make in the story, you can sort of choose through dialogue to report the foresters and things like that, and that determines whether you have one of them helping you in that fight.
Yes, so that's definitely affecting the story world of a narrative choice. What about the other way around? Are you doing anything in the game world which is affecting? What about things like where you collect the horses, for example, and you get a different reaction from the quest giver?
I don't know if you get a different reaction. Yeah, because I mean,
Does the story pick up at all to that?
Well, the gameplay does, in that you get given the horse, and obviously you get the sort of extra bit of dialogue saying, "Oh, thanks for the help."
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't seem to change sort of anything else in the world.
Yeah. So let's see what they say in their game notes. So it says the narrative impacts the game world in the farm scene, where if you reported the foresters, there is an attack trader on the road, and if you didn't report the foresters, you'd find a forester from the group that you didn't report. And it says that choice also influences the fight scene. The choice of helping the trader gives you a horse that increases your speed and attack. So in terms of the game affecting the game world, they say in the dialogue with the villager, the player can choose to defend the foresters, and the villagers will become hostile and might kill you, leading to an early ending of the story. And if you survive and kill the villager, this will be considered in the final scene.
Wait, where's that?
In the forest scene, the player must choose if he reports the foresters the guards or not. This choice branches the narrative and changes the path your character is going to follow. This choice will weight a fair amount of the final scene. Yep, that's still going from narrative to game world, not the other way around. In the farm scene, the character can choose to gather the farmer's horses, and if he does, he's rewarded with a horse. The choice will be taken into consideration in the final scene. So I think they are arguing that going and getting the horses is kind of an action in the game world that has a kind of narrative consequence. Yeah. And that's kind of right. I think that's always the harder one to do. I think we're much more often thinking that you make choices in the narrative space, and then it's kind of the game world changes to reflect that. And I think having those kind of diegetic choices and those diegetic effects in the game world is it just seems to come a lot less intuitively to people. In the fight scene, if the player chooses not to fight the hostile enemies, he will die, leading to an early ending without finishing the game. Like, I don't know whether you can argue that dying
that's a choice.
is part of the choice. I would argue that there's lots of examples where the narrative affects the game world, and maybe it's a little bit limited in terms of how the game world affects the narrative. But there are you could argue that there are elements in there.
Yeah, I agree.
So a satisfactory would be a simple story engine that has limited integration with the game world. And good would be an effective story engine that is integrated with the game world. So there are examples going both ways. And I would say that it's kind of between the two, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
So agency. So what we're interested in here is, did they actually have a branching story? With interesting choices.
So they've definitely got a branching story, because we've not seen this bit before.
Yeah, I was going
we've
to
got a
say,
different
is this
companion.
the bit where? Yeah, so I mean, I've got a bit of an advantage here in that they've handed in a sort of a graph of their narrative structure on their game notes. So it's pretty clear from that graph that there's one very significant choice early
Report
on,
the
which is do you
forester
report
or not?
the
Yeah.
forester, and that takes you to an entirely different area of the story. And then you've got a key choice at the end, and the earlier choice then has an impact on what's available to you in the later choice, right? So I would say that they clearly have a branching story. It's definitely here. Um, so here's the interesting question: is it an interesting choice?
Mm. The
You're
thing
kind
is,
of you've
so
got
this
you've
kind
got
of
yeah,
shows or reflects, I guess, what
yes,
I'm about to say, in that it sort of changes the narrative a lot, but it doesn't really change anything that we do. So if we side with the foresters, we
no,
fight 3 soldiers with a forester, and if we side with
yeah.
the soldiers, we fight 3 foresters
Yeah.
with a soldier.
So I think I don't have a problem that if the consequences are kind of that's the whole mirror worlds thing, right? Um, so that's that's a convention to make things a bit more manageable. But I'm more interested in the question of what grounds do you have for making that choice? Why you the
Well, I mean,
forester asks you to help them, why are you helping them or not?
because you have that conversation with your father at the start that sort
Yeah,
of like says, maybe we should just be killing everyone, and so on.
and then you've also got the conversation with the soldier where they insult your father and say he's basically a namby-pamby do-gooder. So there's
I believe we've discovered a bug.
you've got a sense that there is some conflict there, and then you have to make a kind of moral choice. So I think it could be better. It could be it could be a bit more refined, but it's definitely set up. So in terms of agency, good would be an interactive story with several branching points, some interesting choices, and a few attempts to manage player agency. For example, by using different patterns in the narrative. And they definitely have got that. They've got the kind of split join structure. So whichever choice you make, they've got the kind of mirror worlds thing going on we just talked about. So I think they've actually done quite a nice job of managing the agency. There's a sort of a little bit of a limited number of branching points, but I think that's because they've only got 2 really significant ones, and the other ones are fairly small. Um,
But again, small game prototype. They're sort of showcasing that they know
yeah.
like how to make those
So,
branches happen.
so I think they managed to get to good. I think that's fine. Um, the excellent would be an interactive story with several branching points, some interesting choices, and an effective system for managing player agency. So, in other words, the way that they've managed it, works particularly well. You might argue that they're nudging towards that. Actually, they've kind of you can make some choices, but you sort of get to the end point.
Yeah, perhaps. So they've, like you say, they only sort of have a limited number of branching points, but where they've
Yeah,
got them, they actually manage the player's agency quite
yeah,
well.
yeah. Nice. I think they've done a good job. Okay, so next we're on to the sort of design. So the first up is poetics. So this is to do with the narrative and gameplay and whether they complement one another or not. Um, so this is a kind of interesting one. So what is the main gameplay? The main gameplay is exploring and fighting, right?
So equally, I guess, what is the main theme? Like, what is the moral of this story?
And then we're back to what is the story.
Yeah.
So I guess, as you said, it's the lion and the mouse, and that if you help the forester, they'll come and help you at the end. So whichever one you help, they'll be the one that comes and helps you at the end of the game. It doesn't really feel like a moral, though. It's not necessarily set up in that way. So the lion and the mouse is all about this idea um, that the lion doesn't think the mouse could be of any possible help to them, right? And it turns out later that they are.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of makes it an interesting fable, right?
Like, it's kind of interesting that the fact that you can sort of choose to help either side, like, maybe undermines some of like the moral that they're going for.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's trying to sort of nudge you towards reconciliation and compromise and that kind of thing, but I can't figure out how to do it, and that's
No. So I think you have to help both. So basically, if your human and forester score is equal, you can choose that option.
But that's sort of my problem. The only way I found out how to help the commander's son when his cart is tipped over is if I betray this person. Because otherwise he doesn't show up. They both show up in the same place. So it's probably something I'm missing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at the graph. It's hard to tell exactly where you might change that. So going back to the moral then. So the moral of the story is a kindness is never wasted.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I don't know, it just doesn't quite feel that way.
So it
feels like a better thing would have been, rather than you to make this grand choice, which is you sort of undermines it, would have been, you encounter a forester in your exploration that's wounded or needs your help, or or whatever, and you help them, and then later on as part of the attack, right? They're the you get injured, they find you, they spare your life or something, right? It's kind of
that sort of reflection
of the but as you said, by flipping it around,
I mean, there's kind of this sort of like minor I guess sub-theme of that here, where we're sort of like, we get asked to do the horses, like there's no real benefit to us, it's out of our way, but we do it anyway, and then we get the horse afterwards. But like you say, it doesn't have that whole sort of oh, how could this possibly help me kind of thing.
Yeah, and so it's that. So the actual moral is, a kindness is never wasted. So it's and I kind of don't feel. So I feel that they've attempted to capture that, but not quite achieved it. So here, a good would be that the narrative and gameplay complement one another, and a satisfactory would be that the narrative and gameplay do not interfere with one another. So complementing one another, and the key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story.
I think possibly part of the problem as well
and excellent would be that they support one another. So I would say that it probably does hit good, but it's no higher than that because of what we've talked about.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is there's kind of a lack of other gameplay other than these sort of choices in narrative and things like that. Like I say, the combat's kind of like just a sort of, it feels like a sort of, we had to put this in to be able to call it a game kind of mechanic, rather than something they've built the game around. So
I think I think we can probably just about give them a good. But they're not working together to tell the story. So techniques. So this is like the penultimate one. So here we're looking at pacing and the use of game writing techniques. So for example, dialogues, scripted events, cutscenes, kind of environmental storytelling, the use of in-media rares, like those kind of things. So what do we got? We got dialogue. We've got these kind of odd prompts that pop up from the kind of omnipotent narrator.
Also, sort of just nipping back to managing agency for a moment. This one kind of annoys me.
Yeah.
It's weird that it lets you get to the edge of the map and then says, no, you have to go back, start a conversation, and then fight them. Like, it would have made much more sense for me to get to here and them to say, halt, where do you think you're going, and then attack me.
Yeah. Or even have the villager block your route.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So there is some environmental storytelling. So I think if you report the forester, don't you find them in the road afterwards? So you kind of get that.
Well, if you report the forester, you get another scene where they're dead and all the villagers are around them.
Yeah. So you get. So I think they have used multiple techniques here. And what about pacing?
So that kind of goes back to that as well. You have like these little sort of like I don't know what you call them, sort of micro worlds between sort of the big scenes where you sort of like you must have a chat with your companion before venturing forth, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To sort of like here's a bit more story, which on the one hand sort of breaks some of the pacing because it sort of interrupts the flow, but it also presents a sort of like a nice interlude, if you like, between the big dramatic moments to sort of let you.
Yeah, I think those micro quests kind of work, and also you do get these bigger ones. So this fight is a bigger thing, right? and it sort of sits between the collecting the firewood, getting the horses. They're the kind of minor ones. So actually, I think they've done a relatively good job, and they've got a battle at the end. That maybe doesn't feel quite as dramatic and climactic as it should do, but it's there. It's clearly, that's what its function is. So a good here would be ascending pacing with a clear final peak and use of more than one game writing technique, and I think they've achieved that, right? And an excellent would be ascending pacing with more than one peak and appropriate and consistent use of more than one game writing technique. So I kind of. No, I quite like the way they've used the dialogue. That's quite nice. But
yeah, it's a nice framework.
So maybe halfway between a good and an excellent. They're kind of getting up towards.
I think so. They definitely have, like you say, the sort of the clear final climax. That's really nice. They're off, I guess.
Okay. So the last thing is the feedback. So we asked them to explain what feedback they got at the various feedback points of the course and to explain how they changed their game. So they said our main feedback was about not using multiple fables, since it would be harder to identify the main one and apply the marking scheme, which is true, I think, but it would still be nice to say which one you went for. And the second part was about having impactful choices and not fake ones. And more feedback was having choices that have an immediate feedback and that you can see. The story now reflects only one fable. We added choices that have an immediate impact. On top of that, we also have choices in the game. We tried to give the player the option as in the fable throughout the game. So, I mean, it would have been nice if they'd have been a bit more explicit in their feedback. Well, their feedback is their write-up is a little bit basically saying we got some feedback and we changed the game to implement
to make
feedback.
It better, yeah.
It's like, and it's like, yeah, well, what did you actually do and why? But they clearly did concentrate on one thing, and they do clearly have those quests which are about doing things for people, and so I would say that they have responded to the feedback.
They've not necessarily articulated it well, but yeah.
Yeah. So good would be feedback was articulated, reasonable changes have been successfully made. Satisfactory would be feedback was articulated and some changes have been made with partial success. And I would say that it's kind of they have successfully made some changes, but maybe they've not articulated it as well as they could. So perhaps halfway between the two.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So final kind of thoughts on this one. I mean, it's very polished. I like it. I think it's quite an ambitious game. They've got a lot of kind of elements in here, and in general, it works kind of well. I think it's really nicely put together.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So yeah, good job, I think. Okay, shall we move on to our next game?
Yeah, let's move on.
So our next game is Tale of the Unexpected.
Okay, so we've got a title screen. Bit of a clash of art styles immediately.
Yeah, and in fact, the skybox is a very odd background to have.
Yeah, we've got like a voxel art dog.
Voxel art dog, and a kind of cartoonish.
Well, let's jump into it.
Skybox.
So we've got the controls.
So at least they put the controls in.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they integrated them into the game, but they're here, so we know what to do.
So we've got yes, no, and tip. I don't know.
Tip, yeah.
Not sure what that means, but we'll find out.
I think that this feels like the
This is the small village of Littlehampton.
Has. It's like in every single interaction.
Is an old lady.
Do you say yes, no, or do you just pay people?
According to her, her husband abandoned her a few days ago.
Ooh.
You were told by your mother to go help her with the household tasks. Good luck.
Okay, that's interesting. We had like a text, almost like a text-to-speech narration there.
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily catch something about there's an old lady called Elizabeth. According to our wow.
So I wasn't expecting that. So it's almost like a little cutscene.
Yeah. So like that was really nice.
Animated fly through. Yeah, that was good.
It sort of like tried to set the scene a little bit. We got told
So,
good luck.
what-
I'm not sure what we're supposed to be doing though.
Ah, okay.
Let me. Can I? Ooh,
Oh, you have a. There's your voxel dog.
dog. Can I pet the dog? Nope. 0 marks. Can't pet the dog.
That looks like you might have stood on it.
Okay.
There's the lady.
Hello, my name is Mary. My mother Emily told me to come and help you with the house.
Okay.
Oh, that's us speaking, not
Me.
this
Oh, okay.
horrifying.
Yeah, that's disturbing. All right. Elizabeth.
Oh, that is our dog. Good.
Yeah. Looks like Elizabeth Warren.
I was thinking, who does this remind me of? Yes, no, or I'm going to press T and see if I get a tip. No.
Shall we do the...
Let's say yes. We'll pick the thing. I'm still weirded out by this strange automaton that's chopping wood with a pickaxe.
Yeah.
Weeds, right?
It's like being in a sort of a nightmare, isn't it?
It's just like a slightly surreal
with
dream.
you know, it's one of those nightmares where your lovely dog keeps following around and you accidentally tread on it all the time.
Okay, so we've been asked to weed some things. The only plants that I can see are these shrubs.
Do some weeding.
Was it E to interact? Because I'm mashing E. And we've got some little voxel chickens over here as well.
Some voxel chickens. Okay.
We've got these torches.
I'm kind of starting to get into the voxel animals. I don't know why. Is that a police station?
It does. There's also the jester over there.
Does the lady have a police station in a barn?
No, I think this is her house and this is the rest of the village.
Right.
It's a very small economy. It's all jester and police based.
But we can't actually find. So unfortunately, I've just had a look at the game notes, and all it says is she asks you to weed a house. You say yes and do it, or you say no and you get assigned an alternative task. So I don't actually know where any of the weeds are.
I'm in a hole, Dave.
Oh, you fall in a hole.
Oh, I can jump. Never mind, I'm out of the hole.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Gone through the window. I'll check upstairs and see if there's any. Aha! I found stuff to interact with. So instead of doing the weeds, we're sneaking around. We've picked up a key.
But we should be weeding.
We should be, but I've decided I'm going to just rob this old lady and steal these coins. Nope, never mind. I can't do that. Is there anything I can use the key on? Like maybe the weeding is just who knows.
So I think what you've done is you've skipped ahead a little bit.
Ah.
So I think okay.
What I've cleverly done is I've demonstrated the narrative paradox. Shall I stop this, start again, and we'll try and say no to the weeds and see what happens. Oh, hang on.
Oh, unlock door.
Oh no! Ah. My God, there's been a murder.
What have I just found? Yep, here. Is that Elizabeth's husband? Oh, should you tell her or not?
Elizabeth, come quick. There's been a horrible accident. Let's see what happens. Oh, no. Oh, wait, hang on.
Move weeds.
Where was that?
Where's the weeds? Well, we know they're around here somewhere.
Wait, what? This is the weeds?
That is. Well, in fairness, if I had a weed like that, I'd want it removed. Look at the size of it.
Alright.
Okay, so now what you should do, I think...
So this is not a weed, that was weed. Okay.
That's weed. So go and talk to her again.
Is there anything else I can do? Oh, by the way...
And now she'll tell you to go and clean the loft and the dresser, and you'll find the key.
Aha!
Alright, so I think this is the idea, right, is that she eventually gives you a quest that will send you up there. But the problem is, as you said, now you've got the option to clean stuff. But the problem is you've already been in here and explored.
There we
go. This is the kind of narrative paradox problems. They haven't really dealt with your agency very well.
Well, it's interesting because the key I could pick up straight away. The money I could. So I have this thing. So should I steal the money? No, we'll do a Paragon playthrough first, and then we'll do a. There we go.
Oh, I like that. Get rid of all the dust. That works quite nicely.
Yeah, nice little effect.
And now she'll ask you to buy logs from the woodcutter, I think.
You're making light work. Yes, she does. Cart next to the warehouse. Don't try and get into the warehouse. It's yes.
So she's warning you not to go in there, but of course you've already been in there.
Here is some money. I'm such a great helper.
Oh, and now the gate's open. The gate wasn't open before, was it?
It was not. I don't think so. Again, sort of managing agency to some degree.
Yeah.
So, and again, weirdly different styles of art.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is the woodcutter the person over here that's cutting wood?
Cutting wood? Yeah.
I feel like you could have done this yourself.
Hang on a minute. Oh, okay. I think the gates have opened early. I think the gates.
Yeah.
I should open on the next one. So
okay, sure. Take these extra coins.
Coins.
I don't have any extra coins, but let's try that and see what happens. Sorry, you are too poor. Okay.
Because you don't have the coins.
But has that just broken?
So.
Or... Oh no.
No. I don't think it matters.
Why would I want to tip the woodcutter?
So they talk about it as a piece of false agency.
Oh really?
So it's just something you can do that has no impact at all.
So I could rob from this person to give to this person for no reason.
But none of that has any effect. Yeah.
I
suppose it's character defining.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Are you Robin Hood?
Okay, so you've done it, haven't you? So if you go back and...
Shall I cook something? Go to the market, pick up some ingredients.
So now is the bit where the gate should open, but it's already open. Ah, there you are. Just give me some more money.
See, she might have murdered her husband, but also she gave us, some money to do something nice. So.
Okay, and then that's the...
Oh, I guess I've realised why there's a police station here. I guess we could go and chat to them. No, I'm just going to keep doing this. Would you like to buy some poison? You could hide it in a meal and the victim can't tell that... Ah!
Oh.
No. She seems nice. Let's just keep going along this route and see what happens.
It's sort of a bit strange. What happens if you pop into the police station?
Could buy some news later. As a jester. Well, I'm amused. What do you... Book 30 coins? Do you reckon we get to a state in the game where we can make 50 coins or 30 coins?
So let's pop... Should we see if we can go to the police station and tell them about this body?
Oh, do you want it? Okay, I was going to not... would you like to report a crime? Yes or no? Alright, fine, yes, we'll report it. Lead me to the evidence.
Okay. So are they following you? Yeah, okay. So you can take them to the barn, I guess?
My goodness, thank you for showing me this.
My goodness. Yeah.
So we can say yes or... I mean, this is your job, this is not my job.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, sure, she totally did it. Dun dun dun.
A few days later.
Still got the key up in the top left.
Yeah. Oh, there she is in prison.
I can't believe they caught me selling poison.
Selling poison. I know, you hid it so well. How would anyone have known?
Dun dun dun.
You're next. Fantastic. Right.
And C. You knew flat. So I guess we can tell what fable this was.
So the old lady is supposed to be nice about how wonderful we are.
This is the small village of Littlehampton.
She's a murderer, and we have to choose what to do.
Elizabeth is an old lady.
So
according
let's
to
go
her,
the scheme.
her husband abandoned her a few days ago. You were told by your mother to go help her with the household
buy the poison, and then keep on doing the quest and see what happens.
Oh, so you want to poison her?
I think that might be an option. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So while you're doing that, we can start talking about the art scheme. So what do we think about presentation? So this is information, design, graphics, and audio. What's the audio like?
Audio's actually pretty good. There are little sound effects when you you do the weeding. There's birds tweeting in the background. There's that lovely voiceover at the start that kind of sets the scene. Yeah, audio's alright.
Graphics are kind of...
I hate them. They're just so jarring and inconsistent. Like
Yeah, I mean, there's elements of it are quite nice. I think kind of the environment is nice. It's just a shame that the people in the environment
yeah,
are so
actually, that's true.
obvious.
The environment itself is quite nicely put together. Like it goes back to what you were saying earlier. If they were going for like a really surreal, dreamlike vibe, then it would sort of fit. But they're not. They're just trying to tell a story. So the fact that
Yeah,
we've got like really voxely animals, we've got like weird mannequins, we've got
yeah,
bobbleheads, we've got the people over there who are like,
yeah,
it's just very, very weird.
yeah.
Like,
And information design. I mean, you've sort of got a thing up in the corner which tells you how many coins you have, and it shows you whether you've got the key.
I mean, I'm
But
gonna poison her
there's
anyway.
nothing to indicate you should go and talk to the woman. You didn't know where to. I suppose you've got things like the dust and the glowing stuff there, but then you didn't have anything on the weeds.
Yeah, that
So
was a
I'd
bit.
say for the information design, it's a bit of a mixed bag. So okay, so satisfactory would be key information is shown, consistent graphics, and some audio. I think the problem is here that the three things
Yeah.
are very different, right? So I think key information is shown is probably okay. I think there is an appropriate that's satisfactory. There's an appropriate use of audio, which is good, but there's kind of inconsistencies with the graphics, which would put it down at the poor or pass level. So overall, I think maybe for presentation, this should be either a satisfactory or even a smidge below satisfactory.
Yeah, I'd say probably satisfactory. Like I know I said I hated the graphics, and that may have been a bit harsh. Like they're jarringly inconsistent, but
Yeah.
and like the sign on the police station. Like good information design though. We both saw it and went,
Yep.
perhaps we should go and report this to the police station. So it's like the key information is there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go with satisfactory. So gameplay is either a set of complementary mechanics and smooth usable controls and meaningful play. So what are the mechanics?
Walk around and interact with
Walk
things
around.
mostly.
Talk, pick stuff up.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
you've got like sort of inventory puzzles to a degree. Like you're either
Yeah,
carrying the
that's
key,
true.
the
Yeah,
carrying the wood, the carrying the.
yeah. And how do you find the controls?
Yeah, they're fine.
And they're sort of set out at the beginning fairly clearly. And then meaningful play. Do you feel like you're meaningfully playing?
Actually, kind of, yeah. It feels like there are a bunch of different things. Like, for example, like stealing the money, or like it feels like they're. So I mean, okay. So partly because I sort of knew roughly where they were going with this story because I know what fable it's based on. It felt
Yeah.
like there are. Like I could see the ending that was coming, but it's nice that there are sort of a number of routes to get there. So like we could just keep going down this path and try and ignore the fact that she's murdered her husband. We could
Yeah.
report it to the police. We could take the law into our own hands and buy some poison.
Yeah. So I have to say the setup of it. I mean, I think the execution's a bit rough, but the setup of it is quite nice. I think the idea about you're here to help this nice old lady who's being lovely to you, and then you discover that she's a murderer, and you have to decide what to do about it is really nice actually. Oh,
I can't pick up water from the well. Oh, no.
So yeah, so in terms of gameplay, satisfactory would be a set of mechanics and usable controls and some meaningful play, and good would be a set of complementary mechanics, smooth usable controls, and meaningful play. I don't think it's quite at the good level, but satisfactory or slightly above maybe for gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of these. So it's a thing that comes up a lot in the sort of storytelling coursework, in that most of the gameplay itself is just navigating the story.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, I guess.
But I think I think then it comes down to, do you feel engaged with the story? Are you kind of thinking, oh, I want to know what happens next. I want to see what the outcome's going to be.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
And do you feel like you have some control over it? Yeah, you kind of do.
Yeah. I'm frustrated that this bit appears to be slightly bugged.
Ah,
I'm,
are you going to be able to do it, do you think?
I don't think so, so I'm going to quickly just close that and reopen it.
Okay, all right.
And yeah, we'll see what happens.
So I think they've hit the satisfactory one. Set of mechanics, usable controls.
This is the small village of Littlehampton.
Feels about
Elizabeth is an old lady.
So bugs,
according to her,
talking about bugs,
her husband abandoned her a few days ago.
Satisfactory would be gameplay.
You were told by your mother to go help her with the household
tasks. But there are infrequent serious bugs or frequent minor bugs. I think we just saw an infrequent serious bug that kind of stopped you completing the quest and therefore ended the game early. So that feels to me like it's another satisfactory.
Oh god, she's glowing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, she's horrible to us. That's kind of interesting.
I refuse to do the
weeds. Again, that's not necessarily in keeping with the story.
Oh, got it.
Okay, so let's go on to the story engine then. So, the story engine is basically how much the narrative and the game kind of interact with one another. So, what we're looking for is a story engine where actions you take in the story have a reflection in the world, and that actions you take in the world reflect in the story.
So obviously choices that we make in the game, so whether we go to the police station or not, affect the outcome of the narrative.
Yes.
So again, it's one of these sort of issues when the whole gameplay is the story, because it's hard to sort of pick apart.
Yeah.
Like, am I making a choice within the gameplay, or is it sort of a choice within the narrative?
Well, I mean, there's definitely times where things that you've done in the game world affect. So that's like simple things like, whether you have the poison or not, I guess, and it affects the actions you can take. I quite like this, that you're kind of you are getting some sort of hints from her, aren't you? That...
Yeah, although it's one of these things where it's like if we refuse to do what the nice lady says, then she reveals that she's not actually nice.
Yes.
So it's a little tricky to manage. She's going to push me into the hole, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yep.
You will soon meet him. Oh dear, you lost. Flattery is not proof of true admiration.
This is the small village of Littlehampton.
I kind of quite like what
Elizabeth is an old lady.
Yeah, I like the little sort of cutscene bit
her
there.
Her husband
where
abandoned her a few days ago.
Yeah.
Like, just close your eyes.
You were told by your mother to go
help
help her with the household tasks.
So actually, in terms of the story engine, I think this is fairly well integrated, right? There's certainly things that you do, like getting the poison. You make choices like whether or not you put poison in her food, right, or not.
Yeah.
So there's definitely stuff you do in the game world which kind of affects the story, and then stuff that's due in the story space. So does the game world change to reflect the story? Well, I suppose you could argue little things like the gate opening or not reflects the story.
It doesn't reflect the story. It sort of, I guess, yeah. It's the progression through the story, but it's not reflecting the story itself.
So almost everybody suffers from I want to take actions in the game world and change the story, right? And this is one of those rare games where I think they suffer the other way around. I think actually they a lot of the actions you're taking that have consequences, like going in here, finding this will change the options you have when you speak to the police person, right?
Yeah.
So this is all quite nice, but then the options you take in the story space don't seem to have they don't really change the world particularly. Yeah. There's very limited evidence that the decisions you make are changing much. There we go. So that's kind of interesting. So again, satisfactory would be a simple story engine that has limited integration with the game world. The flow goes one way, and good would be an effective story engine that is integrated with the game world, where it goes both ways. So what's interesting is that kind of assumes that the getting actions in the game world to affect the story is actually the more difficult thing. And they have done that. I think the story engine is kind of integrated with the game world. It's just it doesn't necessarily go back the other way very much. So maybe halfway between satisfactory and good would kind of reflect that. Okay, what about agent? Oh,
sorry. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah. Like, it's interesting that we can... Yeah.
So I think you've now experienced the 3 different outcomes, right?
This is the small village
Yeah.
of Littlehampton.
Get the voiceover again.
Elizabeth
What happens if you
is an
take the
old lady.
police woman there,
According to her,
but then
her husband
but then say
abandoned
you
her
don't
few
think the
days
lady
ago.
did it? I wonder if that gives you anything else.
You were told by your
let's
mother
try
to
that,
go
yeah.
help her with the household tasks.
So so agency.
Good
so
luck.
This was about: do we have an interactive story with several branching points and interesting choices? And are there attempts to manage that agency? Well, do we get some? We get these kind of little branching points where you can refuse to do things, and then she reveals a little bit of a character.
And you just do
And I
a
suppose-
slightly different task. It's not
Yeah.
really an enormous branch, but like the main branch
Yeah.
is at the end, right? Or it's like,
Yes, yeah. So you get to choose. You get to choose whether you take no action, whether you take action yourself, or whether you report her. It's kind of nice to have those options.
yeah, and they've put in, like you say, some bits of false agency where you can decide to tip the lumberjack. It doesn't do anything, but it gives you the illusion that you've got more control than you actually do. Like, it's a bit of a weird way of doing it, but
But it's kind of there.
they
So I would say yes. I think they do have an interactive story with several branching points. What about the choices, though? Do you think they're interesting choices?
So again, like most of them, no. Like tipping the woodcutter, not super interesting, particularly as it doesn't
No.
do anything. The sort of just refusing to do a task isn't interesting because we've got no reason to refuse it until, ironically, we refuse it and she shows that she's actually horrible. And even then, all it means is we do a different task, which is still just, press E to complete task.
Yeah.
The choice at the end is kind of interesting. It's like, should we take the law into our own hands and poison her? Should we report her to the authorities? Or should we just ignore it and pretend we didn't see anything?
Yeah.
Or should we do exactly what she asked and not look in the warehouse? Like, that's an interesting choice to make.
Yeah. So again, I feel that they could be better set up, but that's probably due to sort of inexperience with storytelling more than anything else. The actual structure is all there, isn't it? So yeah, okay. And in terms of attempts to manage player agency, they've definitely got some in there. So they've got the use of the physical barrier, both for the body and also to go outside and talk to the people in the market and the poisoner and the policewoman. Otherwise, that I think they've tried to deal with things. So if you go and talk to the policewoman without finding the body, for example, you have a different conversation, I think. So yeah, I think they've done a relatively good job of dealing with that agency. Right, let's see what happens. No. Figure out who the killer is. Okay.
Okey-doke. Oh, I guess the game just continues as normal because she's investigating while we do this.
While we do this. Don't told her there's a policewoman in a barn. Right. I also think the whole flattery thing is a nice idea, but I don't know if it necessarily comes across. Perhaps because she's just giving you lots of tasks and she's not actually being particularly nice to you about anything.
So,
but again,
so
I think
clever. I don't know. She kind of is, but.
Well, again, I think it's just inexperience with the storytelling, right? They need to set you up as having a particular need, and someone who shows you, who doesn't have to do these things, but shows you genuine kindness, all right. So if we go back to where we were, we're looking at the agency. So I do think we've got an interactive story. We've definitely got lots of branching points, and we think we've got interesting choices. And there are some attempts to manage player agency, so that's definitely up at the good. Is it an effective system for managing player agency?
I
wouldn't. The problem is, I don't think it's particularly effective, but the game's fairly robust. So you get these weird situations, but it's not that the game breaks if you go off and do your own thing. It's like on our first playthrough when you got the key and discovered the body before anything else had happened. it didn't stop you doing that, but it coped okay with it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the I guess kind of the strength of the way they've structured it.
Yeah. So I would say it's certainly good. It may even be a little bit above good, halfway to excellent maybe in terms of the agency it gives you. So if we think about the poetics, do the narrative and gameplay complement one another, and are the key mechanics in keeping with the themes of the story? So
the problem is there's a slightly limited set of mechanics in that it's just press E to do everything.
There's not much game at all, really. I mean, it kind of... So, I mean, you can have a completely narrative game where the game is to try and navigate the narrative, and it's kind of like social interactions and so on. But I'm not getting that vibe. And you can also have narrative games where they're kind of mysteries, right? You're trying to solve the mystery. And it's kind of in that vein, but at the same time, they're not really giving you any mystery to solve.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's the thing. It's a very small prototype of that kind of thing, I guess. Like, we've discovered something. How do we act on it? But yeah,
there's no clues, right? There's nothing where you might come across a clue that would tell you that this is that she was responsible. So when you say when the policewoman says to you, does she do it? Why would you say yes or no? So in terms of the poetics, I kind of think they're so satisfactory, or rather good would be that the narrative and gameplay complement one another, and the key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story. And I don't think that's there. I just don't think the satisfactory would be narrative and gameplay do not interfere with one another, and I think that's true. Kind of walking around doing basic tasks. I mean, I suppose you could argue that it's kind of linked with the theme of kind of you're doing these things because she's being nice to you, but it's not really obvious with the story. So for me, it kind of feels like it's more at the satisfactory level. It's not doing anything bad, but it's not really using the mechanics to tell the story.
I would say maybe a notch above that, just because the sort of
you think because they're kind of because that's kind of like the structure of the story. I mean, is the kind of the mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. What about techniques?
So we've got the sort of nice
techniques. I think
the panning
the execution's a bit wobbly. But yeah, the panning shot. You've got kind of
the different dialogue options. Just
dialogue, environmental storytelling with the body and the hole around the back of the house.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to come up later, and it did.
Yeah,
Chekhov's hole in the ground.
It's nice, actually. So I think we got the game writing techniques they've done well. What about ascending pacing with a clear final peak?
So they definitely have a sort of strong narrative final peak. Either you get murdered or you throw her in jail. But again, because of the limited set of mechanics, it doesn't feel like a mechanical climax.
Also, the drama is hard to see there, right? Because it's basically, I think partly because of the way they've done it, that you have a number of chances to intervene early on, and then if you don't, she kills you.
Yeah.
Right. And because of that, they haven't got a climactic final scene where you have a confrontation or anything. So I don't think that the pacing is terrible. It just feels a bit sort of flat.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of
I don't know. I think there's some attempt at the pacing. So for example, they sort of guide you towards finding the body and things like that. And that
I mean that's a dramatic moment, I guess. But okay, so in terms of technique, good would be ascending pacing with clear final peak and use of more than one game writing technique. Satisfactory would be some ascending pacing and use of at least one game writing technique. And excellent would be ascending pacing with more than one peak and appropriate and consistent use of more than one game writing technique. So I would actually see that they'd say that their technique use is up at excellent, and probably their pacing is probably down at satisfactory. So maybe overall it's a good.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, and then lastly, we should look at their feedback. So So they said that at the time of feedback, we had not yet begun development of the game, so we could only present our idea. In hindsight, this proved to be time-saving, as the idea changed a fair bit.
That's fine.
Okay. So,
what
we
feedback
planned
did
for
they
there
get?
to be clues hidden around the game world, to hint at the woman being something more than she appears. The problem was that there was not much story here, just carrying out tasks until you decide to kill the NPC.
Yep.
As the game could be over instantly. So therefore, developed our idea to contain more of a story. The player plays as characters sent to do jobs, and eventually discovers she's hiding a secret based on the choices they make. They're not presented the ability to kill her all the way through, only at the end. So they have said there are clues around. This fleshed the game out a lot and added much more of a substantial playtime.
So
So I think that's fine.
I think they could have done more with it. So, for example, if when we went to go and buy these things, they said, oh, that old woman over there, keeps kicking my dog or something,
Yeah, or she or oh, you're using the same coins as Elizabeth did.
Yeah.
Something, But anyway, what I was going to say with the feedback was, the feedback is basically, you don't have a story, you should put a story in, and their answer is, so we put a story in. I don't know. Yes, you should have done that, but it's, I don't know, it lacks some of the finesse. But they've said they have got some feedback. They've said they've made some changes. So satisfactory would be feedback was articulated and some changes have been made with partial success. Pass would be feedback was not well articulated, but some changes have been made with limited success. I think they've done a good job, actually. I think the changes they talked about to put the story in work well. So maybe it is up towards the sort of satisfactory good end of that.
I think I'd lean towards satisfactory. Ooh, I wonder if
Sounds good.
I was going to say,
all right. I like it. So as I said, I think the execution of this is a bit rough around the edges, but I really like what they were trying to do.
Like I say, it definitely showcases some of the techniques. If it had a bit of polish, then this could be really something.
Or special. if they integrated it a little bit better, and maybe made it a little bit more of a mystery game. But the elements are there. The environmental storytelling is really quite nice.
Yeah, I agree.
So good job, I think. All right, shall we move on? Okay, so our next game is the Eventful Daily Life of Masefield.
Okay.
Interesting. I like the title.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a really nice little... Well, let's jump into it. Okay.
Here we go.
Hey, built-in
got some tutorial elements.
And we've got a clear goal. This is nice. Move around. Look at that.
You can interact with people and objects by pressing E or close to them. Nice. It's very nice when people don't immediately forget what they just did.
Ooh, that text is a bit squished. I'm guessing this was designed for a particular resolution, and this ain't it. Rise and shine, amigo. It's 7 AM. We need some supplies from the docks. Could you fetch them for us? Okay.
Okay, then.
You can attack people and objects with the space key. Test out your sword on that chair over there.
There you go. So this is that kind of... this is that nice example of giving us a little bit of a safe space to play around in. Although, why we'd be smashing up our furniture, I'm not entirely sure. But
this is the world's slowest sword as well. I'm hammering the spacebar if you can hear. Anyway, chair. Cool.
Yeah.
There we go. You can heal 1 heart worth of damage by pressing the R key. Don't
Okay.
need to, but good to know.
Okay, but I'm not quite sure how that works.
Explore the world, talk to villagers, complete quests.
Complete quests.
Alright, integrated tutorial. Nice.
Good. Very nice.
I'm already well disposed towards this game now. Head to the docks. I don't know why, I'm just going to assume the docks are to the south. I always feel like water is south. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a well-known fact. It's because you live on the south coast.
It must be that, yeah.
Right.
Imagine if we were just characters in a game being controlled by someone else.
That's weird. Okay, getting meta.
You must spend an awful lot of time helping people. Thanks. So yeah, this is that kind of thing where just sort of like just random bits of dialogue from people scattered around is kind of nice. It helps build the world a bit.
So relaxing.
Ooh, that made a noise. That was loud. Supplies obtained. Oh, okay, we don't have to talk to anyone or unload a boat. We just find a crate full of supplies on the...
Yeah,
okay.
Steal them, then go back home.
I don't
Why
remember
not?
which one is my house.
I was going to say, do you remember where you came from?
I don't remember where I live. Help me. It was somewhere... It was one of these? This one, maybe. Nope, not that one.
Who's that there? That's somebody. Hello, helpful one.
Hoi hoi. I genuinely don't remember where I live.
No, I can't remember either. Can't believe I failed my cloud and sea security exam. Oh dear.
I did when I was your age, son.
Nice. Yeah. So then our house. Where was it?
Yep, our house that I remember. I remember where I live.
Was it in the middle of our street? Is it up there?
Is that it? Oop. Nope, found it. It was that one.
We found it. Okay. Perfect. We're all stocked up now. Maybe someone else around the village needs your help. Right you are. Okay.
So tear around.
So we have to just kind of explore and talk to people,
just bumble
I guess.
around. I am. I've always thought your house is one of the nicest in the village. Thanks.
I gotta be honest, we can't tell it apart from everything else.
I was gonna say it's as nice as all of the others, clearly. Your generosity to this is like weird because everyone's saying how helpful and nice we are, and we've not done anything yet.
Yeah. Olsen would be proud. Who's Olsen?
Yeah. He was just before your time. He helped make this village what it is today. Looks like you're following in his footsteps.
That's a nice little bit of backstory.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that the response to that is just okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, hello. We've got a question mark.
A question mark.
Masefield, just the person I needed. Apparently the cave in the wilderness has some fantastic treasure in it. Could you investigate it for me? There'll be a hefty reward. This feels like a setup. If there's a fantastic treasure just lying around, why aren't you getting it?
Follow me to the wilderness. Sure thing, friend. Okay.
Okay, off we go. It's kind of nice that he actually animates there.
Does he wait for you or anything, or?
It's really odd how everyone thinks we're great. Like it's I don't know. It must say something to like sort of how RPGs like this normally start. That I'm surprised that everyone is saying how helpful we are. The treasure, I would join you, but I have a certain cow to slaughter for dinner. He's going to try and kill me, isn't he?
Okay, so we want to go to the northeast. Let's do it.
It's a shame I can't read these signposts. I'm assuming this is cave?
Yeah. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, nice effect with the light and all that kind of thing. Like there was a treasure chest there, so I'm pointedly ignoring it and going elsewhere just to see what I can find first.
Old bones. Bit of environmental storytelling.
Yeah, some more over here.
Yeah.
Is that another loud noise when I get next to the thing? Boing. Treasure found. Return to Andre. Dun dun dun. Managing agency. Can't get past without. Looks like this thief has stolen your treasure. Hunt him down to get it back. Okay, well this is a dead end, so... You've cornered the thief, but he's thrown half the treasure into the lake. What? Do you kill him or not? No, I don't care. I just found it in a cave. I mean, if you walk out the cave, the thief will be able to get away. Press E to interact with the thief. Okay. So yeah, kind of odd that the choice is like press E to interact with the thief, especially when we've just been told how to use a sword. So I don't know if E is going to talk to him again or stab him. So I'm going to press E and see what happens. Please don't... there we go. So it does talk to him, not kill him. Good.
I'll make my decision now.
If you spare me,
Okay.
That's interesting. So I was, my immediate gut reaction was, this is the fable that's all about, you know, flattery and that kind of thing, because we sure have been flattered a lot, but now it feels more like the Lion and the Mouse kind of thing.
Mouse. Yeah. Okay, so and we've diegetically saved the thief, right? So you made the decision not to attack him.
Yeah. I don't know why he threw it in the lake there. Oh, yep, he's gone. Okay.
So, all right. So now do we need to head back to the village, I guess?
I guess so. Should I try and explore? Just it doesn't look like there's much else around in the wilderness. Oh, our quest log has gone back to explore the village.
Yeah. So also worth noting that the paths are quite a nice way of guiding you around the map, although you have a habit of ignoring them.
I do a bit, yeah.
They do have they're definitely a way of guiding people. It's quite effective. So in terms of managing agency and things. Not quite sure what's going on there.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Let's head back to the village.
Oh, I thought that was the path back to the village. I'm very bad at directions.
Hang on, where's the guy with the quest gone? That wasn't in by the door, was it? By the gate?
There, no, I don't think so. Have a great day. You deserve it. Good job.
You saved that thief. His parents both died when he was young, and he's got nothing left. Yeah, that's interesting. So we get some little bit. I quite like the fact the dialogue reflects the changes we've done.
I wish we'd spoke to them before, because I want to know if and how that's changed to reflect our actions. But that seems like a story engine at work. Good morrow, Masefield. I've been requiring your helpful hand. I need to make supplies for traders passing blah 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 blah. The wilderness.
I'm cold. I can't remember if it's in the wilderness or if someone in the village who owns it. That's not very helpful. Okay. Should we explore the village and see?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Just say head to the wilderness.
Like, we found a bunch of coal just lying around, but the fact that he says, "Oh, somebody in the village might own it," makes me think maybe we should go and check first. You're struggling with this board game design and development coursework and need some more wood for the prototypes. Some trees chopped down in the forest. In return, I've got an ancient sword.
My fighting days. All right, of course. So just head. All right, so you've got a couple of quests.
I guess I'll do a loop around just in case there's anyone else that wants anything.
Yep. I don't think there is.
Okay. Yes, you've got the game notes, so you.
I've got the game notes, so I can kind of see the structure.
Somewhat precognition.
A few gentle pushes in the right direction.
Okay, where was it? Was it up here?
I have to say there's a decent amount of content here, isn't there?
I can't collect the coal.
Hang on. Did you have the? You had an exclamation mark pop up a minute ago, so you must have been in just the right position.
Yeah, it's gone now though.
You should go underneath. Is it?
Where's this thing?
Yeah, you were kind of there.
Yeah.
I
wonder if I can leave and come back, and maybe that'll. I like the transitions, the way it sort of fades out and fades back in.
Yeah, it's quite cute.
Oh, don't tell me I've bugged it out. That would be terrible.
Oh no!
Alright, maybe we can we find the wood instead? Wood? Don't remember where it is.
Yeah, that'd be a shame if that's broken. Did we get any clues as to where the wood is?
It just said there's some chopped down in the wilderness already, I thought, but...
Yeah. You'd think it wouldn't be near the coal, wouldn't you?
No, maybe.
Kind of spread somewhere else.
Yeah. Who is that?
While you're looking for it, shall we do the first few criteria? Because we can kind of...
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it feels like it may be stuck, so maybe I should quit and quickly go through this again. So yeah, I'll just mash E next to this and go back and see if I can talk to them. So let's kick off the mark criteria. So to start with, we're looking at the quality.
Yep, and the first part of that is presentation, which is essentially graphics, audio, and information design. What's the audio like?
Okay, yeah, that looks like it's stuck, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a shame actually.
Okay, this looks
yeah,
properly stuck now. Unfortunately, audio. There's so there's some title screen music. I don't think there's any music elsewhere in the game. There's a sort of a really loud ping when you when you go next to one of those exclamation mark items.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this.
So this is a shame. It looks to me like the quit doesn't properly quit. So I think you actually have to.
Yeah, let's properly quit out. And
actually.
Oh, the quit button on the menu doesn't work either.
Yeah, so I think something's gone wrong. Okay, so yeah, so the audio then is appropriate. The graphics are nice actually, nice and consistent.
Yep.
There's something funny going on with the squishy text, but hey. But yeah, really nicely put together, I think.
Yeah.
Font's kind of in keeping with it. All the characters are nice and consistent. The world's built out of a consistent tile set. It's good.
Yeah, so there's the information design in terms of the... So we've got a life up here that actually doesn't seem to be important yet.
Yes.
There's the... Well, there is some music in the village. Maybe it just stopped there.
Just to let you know, before we've got about halfway through.
Okay. I'm guessing there is combat somewhere in the game, given that they've spent so much time.
Yeah, it looks that way. So
or maybe that's killing the thief.
Okay. So information design then. So we've got the little exclamation marks above the quest giver's heads, which is kind of cute. And the same when you get to items in the wilderness, like the coal had the exclamation mark.
Yep. So yeah, overall pretty nice. I'm
trying to think. Other examples of information design though. There's kind of what are there? There's
the quest.
Oh, there's I suppose
your goal up here. I guess there's the heart.
Yeah,
up here,
the goal thing. You could argue that this limited sight thing is part of it as well, as kind of limiting what you can see. Yeah. Okay. So pretty decent. So good would be key information is shown clearly, graphics are consistent and appropriate use of audio, and excellent would be key information is shown clearly, consistent appealing graphics, and good use of audio, effects, and/or music. Is it at the excellent? I think it's really nicely put together, very polished.
Yeah, it's certainly pushing up that way. So what's the criteria for an excellent?
So excellent would be key information is shown clearly, consistent and appealing graphics, good use of audio. I think it hits those.
Yeah, I think it probably does.
Gameplay. So this is there a set of complementary mechanics, and what about the controls? Does it lead to meaningful play?
So again, a similar sort of trend we're seeing in these games is there's like most of the gameplay involves sort of walking around, talking to people, advancing the story.
Yeah.
The actual sort of there isn't necessarily more to it than that. So there is the sort of combat mechanic, but again, it very much feels like a sort of we'll put it in so that we can call it a game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So there is in terms of the mechanics then, what have you got? You've got interaction with people, you've got walking about, you've got dialogue and interactions.
Yep. I mean, we've got a health bar.
Health, you've got interacting with. So there's a set of stuff going on.
Like arguably, you've got an inventory because people will know whether you're carrying the thing they want or not.
Yep.
Although that's probably tied closer to the story engine.
The controls look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean they're fine.
You found the wood.
Oh, the sword fighting is really slow.
Okay.
Logs harvested.
Do you feel you got meaningful play? Do you feel like you're kind of know what you're doing and you're achieving goals and?
I mean, yeah, it's yeah. We have goals.
A little bit pedestrian, maybe?
That's the thing. Achieving them doesn't necessarily feel meaningful because it's just go to place, press interact, return to quest giver.
Yeah. So I think
the choice with the thief was kind of interesting, and especially because it was done, like you say, diegetically. But
yeah.
So we got rewarded. I'm not sure what with. Maybe was it a copy of his board game?
Well, he just said he's going to make sure his balance and difficulty is set appropriately. So good would be a set of complementary mechanics, smooth, usable controls, and meaningful play. And satisfactory would be a set of mechanics, usable controls, and some meaningful play. It's kind of, yeah. It's just limited play, isn't it, I think?
Yeah,
but it's maybe halfway between the two of those?
Yeah, I think so. I've lost the other person who's supposed to be giving me a quest.
And then bugs. So I think we have found infrequent serious bugs.
Yeah.
So that would be satisfactory, right? Which is a shame because there's a lot of complexity here, but okay. So that's the quality section. So this is where we coal collected, right? So we'll pick up the story here and we'll come back to the criteria in a minute, shall we?
I think we can probably keep going as we play. Reliable as always.
Thank you, kind sir.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the other person gave me a sword, didn't they? So now I've got a sword and armor. Not really reflected in the health we've got or the clothes we're wearing.
No, that's a bit of a shame.
Now we just need to continue exploring the village.
So I think, wasn't there someone who talked to you about hunting in the square?
So they say
that
the thief went out hunting, so maybe they'll reward me. But I don't know who the thief is or where they are. But maybe it'll come back to me later. Can I go in any of these houses? No. Appreciate it.
2 seconds before the deadline.
Nice.
Very good.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
You've been really helping the village before the day ends. I've heard traders come through the village to look for a rare and cute deer.
Yeah.
If you could find it and kill... It's odd that you describe this thing you want me to kill as cute.
Yeah. It looks so adorable with its head stuffed up on the mantelpiece. Well, first now you'll have to be careful, but I can't think of anyone stronger than you.
Okay.
There's a lot of flattery going on.
Yeah. I mean, we've been to the forest before and we didn't see anything particularly dangerous, so I'm sure the fact that we've just been given a new sword and armour is fine. Some bones over there. Dun dun dun.
Okay.
And now we're in...
So what happened then?
We faded to black and now we're in prison.
Why are we in prison?
Don't know. Everyone in the village is sick of us.
You were walking through the forest, I looked away at the game notes, and when I look back, you've been locked up by this massive knight.
Yeah, that's all I saw as well. Okay, escape prison. Hint, try attacking the door. Well, okay. Bonk. Honestly, I'm not sure I want to go out there. Look at him, he's huge. Am I attacking the door? I can't tell. There is some nice...
a lot of feedback at this point, are you?
There's some nice foreboding music, but yeah, I'm not... Oh, I can just press E. So, no, attacking the door, not right. Talking to person.
So you've been captured, basically.
The rumours about me are true. Our tribe taking everything in sight. I've heard about... What rumours? I've not heard any rumours. I've heard about your noble status. It's time for somebody new to be the person that everyone talks about. Tomorrow you'll have been executed. Enjoy your last day. Wow, I'm so scared. Not.
Dear.
You won't be able to be scared when you're dead.
That's a fair point.
I feel like he's done a bad job of imprisoning me if he's left me with a sword. Okay, so...
Enter the throne room.
Apparently I've... Oh?
Oh, it's a thief! He's come to let you out.
So that hint about attacking the door was a red herring, I guess?
Yeah.
You totally saved my life, so I'm here to repay your... Okay, so we're back in line in the mouse territory.
Here we go. Definitely line in the mouse.
Well, it's a very weird response to say, oh, thank you for saving my life. I should have killed you when I had the chance.
Yes, no.
Okay.
Friend. Okay.
I can't go without facing the leader, whoever that is. I mean, yeah. That choice is on you. Okay, so I guess we have a choice as to whether we just escape or go get some revenge.
So you answered both of those other quests, right? So you got extra armor and swords and what have you.
Yep. They are large. Okay, got a little sound effect.
So this one is flashing, and it's flashing red. Can you? Was this the one where you can press R to get a health back or something? Yeah, that worked.
I don't know how many times we get to do that. Oh, that's his health bar. Why is his health bar following me?
Yeah, that is a bit strange. But you're getting there.
Also,
almost done it. Oh, did you just press R again?
Nope.
Game over.
Oh wait, maybe I
Looks like the thief did repay you in the end.
That's a bit of a smash cut ending.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing, given how good the rest of it was. But you know.
So I know we say that games like the games and narratives should sort of build towards a final peak, but there should usually be some sort of epilogue period afterwards. Like even if they just did this smash cut to the title screen, extending that text a little bit to say and you lived happily ever after. Like these were the consequences of your actions, to give the player a chance to sort of just sit and mull over what's happened.
Or get you to return to your.
Yeah, go back to the village and everyone says, oh, you defeated this bandit or whoever.
But
yeah, it is what it is. Okay,
so we've seen the story. I don't know if you want to try and go through again and not do the thief. I don't know whether we'll have time to do that, but let's go through the rest of the. While you're racing through, let's go through the rest of the criteria. So we got to the kind of the brief, which was to build a story engine and give the player some agency. So the story engine was all about, do actions in the narrative affect the game world, and do actions in the game world affect the narrative? So what do you think is going on with that?
So actions in the game world definitely affect the narrative. The fact that we saved the thief, again, is it a gameplay choice or a narrative choice? Sort of hard to pick apart. Given that it was diegetic, I'm going to say gameplay. And then when we spoke to this NPC, their dialogue changed when we came and spoke to them next. That was really nice. It was like we've done a thing, and then it's being reflected by the characters in the world. That's nice.
Yeah. So they there's little things as well. So the dialogue changes to reflect what you've done. So these are all places where the narrative changes to reflect actions in the world. How does the narrative impact the game world? So what they've put down is that as you draw nearer to the final quest, the NPCs in the village will start spreading rumors of a new tribe coming to take over. You did see that a little bit.
So I did. So weirdly, I clicked play again, and it doesn't really seem to have reset anything. So I talked to somebody just now, and it did seem to mention that, but it's not something we really noticed a lot of.
Yeah, I saw it crop up with at least one, but yeah, it's a bit hidden. Partly because you spent the first 5 minutes sort of happily running around talking to everybody, and then you don't talk to them again because you've already talked to them.
And also, I don't think that's the gameplay affecting the narrative. That's sort of the narrative affecting the narrative. Like as you're getting towards the end of the story, they start dropping stories. It's not actions I've taken.
So how does the narrative impact? So what changes are? So I suppose the obvious one would be at some point you get captured and then you end up in the prison, right? But again, it's pretty blunt. I think they're a little bit lacking in reflecting the state of the narrative in the game world. Maybe as you move towards the end and the tribe comes in and invades, maybe something outside should have changed, something in the village should have changed. Something a bit more obvious than just the dialogue options. Maybe you can encounter some of the maybe you encounter some of the soldiers from the big bad, right? Because outside or something.
And it gives you a chance to sort of weave some more gameplay through the story.
Yeah. It's kind of trying to think of things that would do that without adding new elements to the game. So, you've got fighting. In fact, did you do any fighting at all up until the end boss?
Nope.
No. So I presume you can. I mean, you can fight the thief, I guess.
That's what I'm go and try.
Yeah, that's what was missing here. Maybe maybe it should have become more and more dangerous outside the more things progress or something. So okay, so that's a little bit lacking. So Satisfactory would be a story engine that has limited integration in the game world. So there are some examples where the story impacts the game world or is impacted by events in the game world. So in other words, it only goes in one direction. And good would be that it's integrated and it goes in both directions. And I don't actually think it's particularly well integrated, but it's maybe it's kind of at the satisfactory level, maybe a tad above that.
So this is interesting. If this is, I guess, sort of to do with managing agency rather than the story engine, but I beat Andre to the edge of the village, and so if I go into the cave without talking to him, there's no treasure chest.
Right. Okay. So they're controlling it there.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about agency then. So if the story engine is kind of just a smidge under good because there's not enough evidence of the game world changing. Agency, we're looking for an interactive story with several branching points, interesting choices, and attempts to manage agency. So in terms of the choices, you've definitely got one where you kill or spare the thief. You've got optional quests.
I think I killed them.
Which are the wood and the coal.
Are they optional? Because I don't know how to get the story to progress without doing them.
Well, that's a good point actually. So I'm looking at the structure they've got, and they've sort of, maybe they're just in parallel, but you have to do both before you do the next one. Begin the final quest. So actually, that really means that the only choice you have
kill or spare
the thief.
And again, sort of because
there are no other choices.
Because most of the mechanics, virtually all of the mechanics, revolve around progressing the narrative. That's the only kind of bit of gameplay. Everything else is go to a place and press E.
Yeah. So that's a shame. So, and is it an interesting choice?
I mean, it's not uninteresting. You know, somebody's stolen from you. Do you take the high route or not?
Yeah. So I think so the problem is here. I think that the choice they've got is a good one, but there's just one. So satisfactory would be an interactive story with several branching points and some interesting choices. A pass would be an interactive story with some branching points but few interesting choices. And a poor would be an interactive story with few branching points, few interesting choices, and the agency is problematic. We didn't talk about the way that they manage agency, because actually I think that is quite good. So I think they've got paths around to guide you. They're clearly altering things in the world to stop you, getting ahead of yourself. And they clearly have an idea of where the story is overall. So I think we've got quite a complicated thing here around agency, because I think their attempts to manage players' agency is actually
pretty reasonable.
Is actually quite good. It's an effective system for managing agency is the excellent range, right? And I think their choices are interesting, which is kind of at the the good level. But actually, the number of choices is really limited.
I guess there are two, because there's kill or spare the thief, and kill or escape the bandit or whoever.
Yeah, no, I don't think that is a choice.
Okay.
Actually, looking at their thing, it looks like whatever happens, you end up with that. But basically, if you help the thief, he comes and gets you out, right? And you get back your the weapons and armor, right? And if you don't help the thief, you don't get your weapons and armor back, but you break the door down to get out. So, yeah. So I think this is really spread around. There you go. So I think the management is excellent. The branching points are between a poor and a pass probably, but the choices are up at the kind of the good level. So maybe overall we end up with somewhere like between a good and a satisfactory for agency.
Yeah, I think so.
Kind of quite a mixed bag, but it's a shame. We just more choices, right? More influence, even if they were kind of false choices to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, what about the design element?
I don't think
that's a tough door as well.
Yeah. So design elements. So Is that techniques first?
So, poetics. So basically, we're saying, do the narrative and gameplay complement one another? So are the mechanics a way of telling the story?
And again, there's just not enough mechanics for. Like, the mechanics are kind of unrelated.
It's kind of exploring. And, well, you could argue that the main gameplay loop, which is about kind of getting a quest, it's kind of fetch quests basically.
I guess it's about.
It's all about helping people.
Yeah, all right.
And the story's about helping people. All the conversations are about how helpful and lovely you are, right? But yes, it's kind of it could be stronger certainly. So I mean, satisfactory would be that the narrative and the gameplay do not interfere with one another, but the key mechanics have little to do with the themes of the story. And good would be narrative and gameplay complement one another. The key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story. And excellent would be that the mechanics emphasize the themes of the story. And I kind of think it's probably at the good level. It's kind of they're in keeping with, yeah. They're not really adding much. So I would say the poetics is kind of good. Okay. There's not a clash anyway.
Yeah.
And techniques. So this is kind of pacing and the game writing techniques.
So we do have. So I would say mostly the pacing is relatively flat, and that's just because you're doing the same thing over and over again. There are 3-4 instances where somebody says, "Go and get me this thing." You go and get them the thing. There's a big spike at the end where there's a final boss fight, but it's not really ascendant pacing. Like, it doesn't build towards it. It's just bam, sudden boss fight, bam, sudden end screen. Yeah. Which is a shame, because otherwise,
and game writing techniques.
So we've got the dialogue trees. We've got the. I was going to say, like, we almost have, I guess, sort of some sort of in medias res, because people are sort of talking about you having done all of this stuff before, but that might be a stretch.
Setting you up. Yeah, it's not quite coming back to you, is it? I mean, so satisfactory would be some ascending pacing and the use of at least one game writing technique. So I think it hits that, right? It's got kind of big spike at the end, and they've used dialogue very effectively.
In fact, I think that
good
might
would
be just. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good would be ascending pacing with a clear final peak and use of more than one game writing technique. Yeah, is it getting there? Not quite, I don't think. Are there any other game writing techniques? They don't really use environmental storytelling. They had the skeletons in the cave, maybe. You can argue that's.
Yeah.
Is it just the dialogue?
I think it really is.
So I think that kind of puts it at kind of like a satisfactory level then. Okay, feedback. So they said they got 2 key pieces of feedback. So one, the moral of the story is clear, but why would you choose to spare the thief's life? Right? So they said, to make sure this is meaningful as possible, we made sure that the dialogue and game information emphasized the fact that you could regain your treasure by killing him, or that the thief would repay you later on in the game.
But the thing is, who cares about the treasure? Because we don't have like an amount of coins or anything. Like, and B, I don't know. Yeah. Weirdly.
Also, I'm not quite. Interesting choices is not about necessarily making the player know exactly what the outcome's going to be. It's about giving them reasons for both doing something and not doing it. Right.
Although alluding to the outcomes of those choices is one way of doing that.
Yeah, but it's kind of independent of that, right?
Yeah.
So setting you up as a lovely, helpful guy, I guess, is kind of framing it. But it's the kind of classic thing where maybe we should learn something about the thief that makes us have some sympathy for him.
Which we do. Like, we speak to them and they say, "Please no, I've got a wife and family. I'm just trying to support them."
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So okay, so I mean, so their point is that they're trying to All right. Yeah. So I think they've actually coped okay with that, but the way that they've articulated it by just making the outcomes obvious is a little bit blunt. It's not quite about that. So they also said they should think about how many different playstyles could be accommodated within the story.
Interesting.
At the time of feedback, it was thought that some of the choices regarding the choices, such as killing and sparing the thief and the quests, had an obvious better choice that related to the player being a good person. To allow for a more empathetic style of play, the player has the ability to communicate with NPCs in different ways, which does not affect the story, which gives you the illusion of choice.
I mean,
I don't buy that.
No, like the when you get different options, they're just some variation of like okay, yeah, sure, thanks. Like that's.
Yeah. Okay. So if we look back at the feedback, satisfaction would be feedback was articulated and some changes have been made with partial success. And pass would be feedback was not well articulated, but some changes have been made with limited success. It probably feels more like the satisfactory. They've said what their feedback was. They've explained what the changes they've made. But the first one sort of just about works, but the second one isn't very successful. So I think it's probably a satisfactory.
Yeah, I mean, even the first one, they sort of talk about, like when you're doing the quests, and as far as I can tell, there are no choices when you're doing the quests.
No. So I think what we have here, it's a really nicely put together game.
Yeah.
Right. It looks lovely, and I mean, it's made with a really nice sense of humor, and I really like that. The real problem we've got here is that there isn't enough agency in the story. Based on we asked them to give us a story with real agency, and they just haven't quite managed that. And that's a bit of a shame.
Unfortunately, it doesn't showcase some of the things they've learned during the course. But otherwise, like you say, it is nicely put together, and they could definitely go on and keep developing.
There's a huge amount of potential. I mean, you can imagine with a bit of tweaking, you could do you could have done something really nice.
Yeah.
Okay. We should move on. I think that's actually our final game.
That is our final game for this match, yeah. So we will be back shortly with another video.
Brilliant. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.